The MLB is coming to a season wrap. We're going to talk postseason predictions. We're also going to talk about the Steelers trade with Fitzpatrick, NFL players demanding a trade, college football players getting paid for their name, and also Daniel Jones starting over Eli Manning. Those are the headlines that made the last word.
I'm Luke, I'm here with Nick, and this is The Last Word. Of course, you can check out our radio show every Tuesday on KKSM AM 1320. Our first headline right now is, of course, the MLB postseason. Things are kind of shaking up here at the end.
Finally, 162-game season about to close.
Too long. We got the Dodgers, of course, dominating their league. And then the Houston Astros and the Yankees kind of going head-to-head here at the end. So there's a lot going on right at the end.
Yeah, and then going with the Yankees, the Houston Astros, is that division is kind of set.
Yeah.
Even the wild card team. The only team that might fluctuate who plays who is the Cleveland Indians, sitting a game and half a game outside the wild card, but with about 10-12 days left to go in the MLB season. So that's about 10 games, give or take a few for every team. They have plenty of time to make that half a game happen to make their postseason dreams come true. But going over to the National League, you got the powerhouse Dodgers controlling the National League. I don't see anyone beating them.
No.
And then on top of that, they play the winner of that wild card game, which right now it stands at the Washington Nationals or the Chicago Cubs.
Right.
And the only team that has a chance of beating the Los Angeles Dodgers are the Washington Nationals.
Okay.
Because of what the Washington Nationals have done in the past month of baseball, they produce one of the most bats, scoring runs, RBIs the MLB has ever seen in such a short amount of time. But also is the Nationals have been there before. The Dodgers have been there before, but they've had heartbreak over the last few years.
Right.
But with in the running MVP, Cody Bellinger, it's possible that the Dodgers can overtake the Nationals.
Okay, so yeah, interesting one. Look out, Dodgers, possible upset alert. To me, the most interesting race is probably the Central in the NL. We've got the Cardinals, we've got the Cubs, and then the Brewers. Really, like 2 games apart from each other. Who do you think takes it?
So the division lead right now is St. Louis, and this is where it pains me, being a Cubs fan, is St. Louis is number 1, and they're playing Washington. So I don't want Washington to win because they're in the wild card. But I don't want St. Louis to win because they're leading the division. So I think the smarter choice is, and correct me if I'm wrong, is Washington should win that series because it would boost the Cubs over St. Louis. But anything can and will happen, and it's best if you just win your division.
It's the funny thing about sports. Sometimes they got you voting for teams you don't ever care about.
I remember in the NFL, there are some seasons, as a Bears fan, I'm rooting for the Packers. And it's absolutely the worst thing.
I've been there, So moving on to the NFL now, probably one of the bigger, most recent stories is, of course, the Miami Dolphins. The whole team has kind of been on trade alert, it seems like, top to bottom. One of them finally gets his wish. Minkah Fitzpatrick, the safety, is traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers a day after Roethlisberger goes down. So, interesting situation for both teams. Minkah, of course, was a first-round pick for Pittsburgh. This is his sophomore season. He had 2 interceptions last year, took 1 back for a touchdown, so he's obviously a super talented player. But what are your thoughts on this? Pittsburgh gets a good player, but in-season trades are always interesting.
They are, but you kind of got to replace Roethlisberger, and in my opinion, I don't think the Steelers did anything of that. They didn't even think, oh, hey, our starting quarterback is going to be out for the season. There is an okay backup, but let's not even look at how we could maybe improve our already terrible situation you're put in.
So you're not bought on...
I'm not a fan of the trade. I think it's a good trade overall because Miami, if you're there, I feel bad for you. It is really scary in Miami. But going to Pittsburgh when you don't have an offense and you're a defensive player, he might be working harder for his paycheck.
Oh, yeah.
In Pittsburgh.
How about Mason Rudolph? It doesn't sound like you're too sold on him either.
No, I'm not too sold on him, mainly because he kind of didn't prove that. Oh my God! Thank God we got a backup quarterback.
Oh really?
I mean,
yeah.
He's a backup quarterback for a reason, but I believe he went like 17 of 30 for like 148 yards.
2 touchdowns. I think,
okay,
yeah.
2 touchdowns. So you at least, and that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers, look what he did week 1 against the Bears. Same with, well, Trubisky's in different water than Rodgers right now. But Rodgers, he didn't even put up 260 yards.
Yeah, true.
But yet, he found a way to win the game, and that's all that matters.
That's the important part.
If you've ever seen Moneyball with Brad Pitt, take a note. You are buying for wins. You're buying touchdowns. You're buying field goals. You're not buying a playmaker like Roethlisberger or Fitzpatrick. Is Fitzpatrick going to stop a touchdown? Absolutely. But is Rudolph going to give you those touchdowns? I don't think so.
California recently passed a bill that allows college athletes to profit off of their name. So just for example, any jerseys with the back of their name on it, they get a cut of the proceeds. You can finally sell your autograph without getting suspended or having your school go under fire. Yeah, exactly. And we, being students in California, have a little expertise on this one. So one player... It's interesting. This guy that really, I feel like could have benefited from the whole selling your jersey and making money off it was Tim Tebow at Florida.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, when he went
so much money.
When he went on with Stephen A. on ESPN to talk, he was talking about how his jersey was only behind guys like LeBron's and Kobe's when he was a college player. So imagine, he could have been making millions strictly off of his name. He wouldn't have needed the scholarship or anything like that. Obviously, not every player is going to get this advantage, but Tebow, interestingly, was against the idea of players benefiting off of their name. He was saying that it was about the school when he was there. It's about how do I benefit the university? What do we do as a team? He thinks players making money off their name is selfish. It becomes about you and not about the team. And then Des Bryant came out tweeting like, Tebow, you don't understand. Some of these players come to college dead broke, not a penny in their pocket. So it's a heated conversation. Obviously, people on both sides are really passionate about this subject. Like, I've talked to teachers at Palomar before. I've wanted to do papers on paying college athletes, and teachers hate the idea.
Oh yeah, I don't really get it. And not to be like sexist or anything, but it seems like a lot of the women have a problem with it because they're like, okay, if you guys get paid, we get paid too. And my one argument is let football get paid and that's it. Why? Because they're the ones driving in the tens of thousands of crowds. The ones that make us look at Oregon and Stanford and Michigan and Wisconsin.
Yeah.
We look at them because of their football program. Does Wisconsin even have a golf team? I don't know. But it doesn't matter. They're not driving in people like me or Luke to look at their school other than football. So, the football program, those players should be getting paid because the coaches get paid, but it's also, the moneymaker.
Yeah, it's a good point. Coaches are making millions a year, and just kind of to bounce off what you said, this really benefits athletes on every level. Let's say, for example, some girl goes to the University of Stanford, plays tennis, and she's being like brought up as the next Serena. Like, oh wow, this is like one of the best players we've ever seen. She can benefit off of that in a way that no other athlete would have been able to before her. So even on the smaller levels, even the golf team, even the polo team, if you are popular enough, yeah, and that's the thing. That's the other thing. Most high school players were the best on their team in high school. Or, excuse me, college players were the best on their high school team. So, like, imagine if, for people that are down here in SoCal, you'll know who I'm talking about, Elijah Preston from St. Augustine from a couple years ago. Imagine how much jerseys he'd be able to sell here in San Diego strictly off of playing for St. Augustine.
Right.
Like, forget Eastern Washington, forget everything he's done since, just high school. He'd be able to sell so much of his college jerseys to people who are a fan of him here. So I feel like it's something that everyone could take advantage of. You don't have to be Tim Tebow to make money off of this.
Yeah, and it gives these players, in my opinion, more incentive to play better.
Yeah.
I will work harder. The harder I work, will maybe get my name out there, and I will maybe sell more jerseys or sell my name more, and in return I get money from that just because I worked an extra 3, 5, 8 hours this week.
Yeah, the better you play, the bigger the check. Isn't that what America is all about? I mean, college sports is a full-time job in a way.
It is.
So it's like you're out there, you want something. You don't want to go home and have to rely on, like, the college's meal plan or whatever. You want a little bit of money. You have thousands, hundreds of thousands of people coming to watch you every week. You deserve a check.
And then that kind of translates into a subcategory that isn't one of our headlines on The Last Word, but it's kind of just something that brings to attention is that these, not just college, but NFL players should be getting the money. Okay, $20 million is absurd.
Right.
But like a bench player, $250,000 a year, to anyone that doesn't know sports, that's going to sound, oh my God, he gets that, $250,000 for sitting on a bench. It's like, you don't understand.
It's chump change.
Every day they are working. They sacrifice time with family. Granted, they see them at night. They see them at holidays. But it's the constant brutalization on their body that they have to endure. And then also is that most likely is if they're in the pros, they went through it in college of getting no money, sacrificing school, not for a good degree. And that's their choice. But they don't have a future after retiring as a bench player.
I'm really glad you brought this up, Nick, because this is something that I do think about a lot. It's no millionaire or person at that level seems to get as much flack as a professional athlete does. I mean, these guys work as hard as CEOs and stuff to be. You have to be in the 1% best at what you do. There are a few hundred players that get drafted every year out of 100,000 plus players that are competing for those spots. You have to be in just an athletic freak, a genius when it comes to football. You have to be the hardest worker on the field.
Well, and that's
so
the other
much.
thing. Most people are working 40 hours a week.
Right.
Okay, if I work 40 hours a week, I should be paid for it.
Exactly.
What if you work 80 hours a week, 100 hours a week? You're doing a lot more than what people would do for 80 hours a week. They are punishing their bodies, number one. They're studying film. It's not like they just go out there and just play the sport.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
Study.
They're preparing to try to get that job at the next level, which is the NFL. I mean, think about it from any other point of view. If your university said, "Oh, hey Nick, you come and work at this Starbucks or whatever, and I'll give you a full ride scholarship, but you're not going to see a dime." That's what you get. You work the whole year, 40 plus hours a week at Starbucks, and I'll give you a scholarship, and that's all you get. You wouldn't take that. No one would take that. People seem to not understand how much time goes into playing a sport.
Yeah, it seriously is a lot.
Monday night, interesting game in a way. A big part of it was Steve Young kind of funny when one of the announcers steals the show beforehand. It kind of tells you what kind of game it was. But Steve Young kind of made headlines by mentioning his frustration with the league and how Antonio Brown was kind of able to work his way out of Oakland. We just saw Minkah Fitzpatrick get his way with the trade. Jalen Ramsey of the Jaguars has been demanding a trade. He's saying the NFL is turning into the NBA. We can't have this. What is it going to take until players start demanding trades to the Patriots and the Chiefs just because they're on a bad squad? He's pretty upset with the whole situation.
Well, that's almost like what happened with Odell when he wanted away from the Giants.
Yeah,
he wanted away from a losing organization. Dude, you went to another losing organization.
Yeah.
Nothing changed there, but something I just want to bring up because Odell's always fun to talk about is, did you catch he got caught wearing a fake $2 million watch?
Oh, really? It was fake? I didn't know that.
Dude, you have millions of dollars. You could have actually bought a real one. I understand you don't want to break it, but Earth to Odell, you wore a $350,000 watch the game before. So don't tell us you're afraid to break it.
No, he's definitely a guy that could afford it. I like a quote from Ocho Cinco. He said that even the fake chains shine the same way as the real ones.
Yeah.
I thought that was a cool quote. So, yeah.
But anyway, getting back to what Steve Young said is that players demanding trades is, in a way, they're calling the NFL owners bluffs.
Yeah.
The team owners bluffs. Saying
point.
that, okay, we'll only pay you this amount of money. We'll only pay you this amount of money. Sure enough, hold out. You get the contract you want or something similar.
True.
And then on top of that is it's only going to stop when the money is absolutely ludicrous. Do you think $20 million is a lot? Like between $20 and $30 million to these organizations, it's not.
Right.
It's nothing. It's like us with 10 and 20 cents. It's nothing. But on top of that is that these are billion-dollar organizations.
Yeah.
They're not gonna bat an eye if they only have to pay $2 million more for a star player. At the end of the day, they're going to want that star player.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's 100% true. And we've seen examples of this. Like Earl Thomas is kind of the most recent one.
Yeah.
He was kind of mad about his contract. It was his final year, and then he suffers. I'm not sure if it was an Achilles tear, whatever it was a terrible injury. He infamously flips Pete Carroll off as he's being carted off on the side.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So he's the bad side of it. He's the side when you put your body on the line and don't get the money you feel you deserve. And he's the reason why Le'Veon Bell holds out, why Zeke holds out, why all these other guys hold out.
And they also just want more money. But to an interesting fact to just people who want to know the difference is, how long is a million seconds? Now, I know I'm talking about time here, but 1 million seconds is equivalent to 11 days.
Wow.
11 days.
Wow, I was going to say like 1 day. Oh,
so now think about how long is 1 billion seconds. 1 billion seconds is equivalent to 33 years. So
just that jump.
That jump is what I'm talking about, is where $5 to $10 million is nothing to an organization that is worth $900 million.
Right. I mean, some of these guys are literally billionaires. So they're looking at the guy on the bench that's making $250K, and that's probably the same as that guy looking at us and seeing how much money we make.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a... We can't even imagine.
Like, it's... I mean, there's comparison after comparison after comparison of what you can do, but now, I've only looked at this for a little bit, but if you have like $1.7, $1.8 million, you could retire for the rest of your life and live off of like $100,000 to $200,000 a year off of the return.
True.
of an investment. So it's kind of like after 4 years of playing, those guys are almost set for life, and they don't even have to do anything. So,
right. It's the reality of the league now. The owners got to get used to it. It's becoming a player's world.
it is. And same goes, it's almost like I have things I want to sell in my personal life.
Right, sure.
And it's a seller's market. It's a buyer's market. With all this social media, you could dictate what price you're going to pay. Rather than, like, so for instance, Zeke and Le'Veon Bell and all these big name running backs.
Melvin Gordon, yeah.
Melvin Gordon, what's going on with him is that they're seeing what Zeke just got, what Bell just got.
Right.
Hey, why can't I get the same?
Yeah.
I put up very similar numbers. Give me the same amount of money.
Exactly.
Last but not least, on the last word, we're going to talk about Daniel Jones. Now going to be the starting quarterback over Eli Manning.
Right. Finally.
2-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. Proven to kind of be there, kind of not, but overall, you can't win 2 Super Bowls if you're just average.
No, very true. A very dominant defense helps, but maybe I'm just a little salty. Daniel Jones, I like him. He obviously came out of Duke. Duke's not really known as a football school, so to have a prospect come out like that is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly think this was a long time overdue. Eli Manning is one of those situations where it's kind of been a thank you for the 2 Super Bowls. We're going to have you keep starting when honestly he hasn't deserved it for a while.
No, he's been going downhill. He seems to be lacking that fire that a lot of quarterbacks need to pump up their team, to say, like, guys, get on the ball. Come on, let's move. We only got 15 seconds. You, like, granted, yeah, anyone could do that, but to have an inspirational voice and motivating voice, you gotta be able to always do that and look like you can do that. Eli Manning does not look like an enthusiastic person at all.
And he's really looked like, I mean, there's the rare quarterbacks. There's the Bradys, the Brees, and Peyton Manning, at least the first year or 2 in Denver, that dominate. Age is just a number. Age means nothing.
Well, if you look at least 2 of those guys, we all know the hype-up speeches Drew Brees gives.
True, good
and
way,
we all know the loud mouth Tom Brady has. And it's awesome.
Super passionate.
I hear Tom Brady yelling on the sideline, "Let's go!" And I'm like, that guy.
That's the
I want to
leader.
play for him.
That's the leader right there. Yeah, so Eli, definitely not that same fire in that way. I'd say he's a little more of a... He was always kind of a quieter leader, I felt like.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that was viewed as super selfish when he first came into the league. Demanding the trade, refusing to play for the Chargers, that whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
So he's always had that kind of following him. And then the way the former coach McAdoo handled his benching was very unceremonious.
So bad.
They just, Geno Smith was not the guy to be replacing him. It was just done just to do it. And obviously Eli also, that kind of got public opinion on his side a little bit. So he's had a very flip-floppy career in a lot of ways. He was known as one of the better quarterbacks in the league at one point. These days, you would never say that.
So one more thing before we wrap up here, I saw on NFL Good Morning Football on the NFL Network that they said one of the guys, and I think it's an older-ish guy on Good Morning Football, he said that, yeah, this isn't the last, I'm glad this benching happened, but this isn't the last time we're going to hear about Manning. And I'm like, wait, how old is he, first of all? And then second of all, what team would want to pick him up that is that dire need for a quarterback? We mentioned it earlier in the video. The Steelers. Ooh, might be a trade going on right there. Doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it. It wouldn't happen, but
stick with Rudolph.
Yeah.
I think at this point, the only Manning you're going to be seeing is Cooper's son that's in high school right now.
Yeah.
The Peyton, Eli, you're done.
yeah, we won't see you guys again.
That does it for this episode of The Last Word. We've got content every week. And of course, don't forget our radio show every Tuesday at 8 a.m. And you can check it out online at kksm.com. If you like this video, be sure to give it the thumbs up.
And if you also agree or disagree with anything that we said, drop a comment in the section below. And also, remember to share with your friends and family, and also subscribe for more sports debating topics.